Hello future CPAs! So for today's video, we will provide you an overview of IFRS 15. So IFRS 15 or PFRS 15, ito yung accounting standard natin sa revenue recognition. So noong 2018 lang nilabas itong accounting standard na to. So ito yung ginagamit accounting standard kapag nagre-recognize tayo ng iba't ibang uri ng revenue. So, for example, 'di ba si vendor, magre-render siya ng services kay customer. So, in return, si customer magpo-provide siya ng consideration kay vendor. So, yung consideration provided by the customer, commonly, it is in the form of cash. So, paano i-account ni vendor yung consideration na yan? What if installment payments yung ginagawa ni customer, o kaya what if yung pag-render ng services ni vendor is, for example, it's a construction contract, so over the course of years. So yun yung i-discuss natin for today. So ibig sabihin lang nun, si vendor saka si customer, meron silang tinatawag na contract. So meron silang meeting of the minds, tapos yung contract nila is merong rights and terms, and syempre kapag magre-recognize ng revenue si vendor, kailangan yung transaction nila ni customer is with commercial substance. Ang important element sa commercial substance, may bibigay na consideration si customer kay vendor in return. So, yung 5 steps sa IFRS 15, i-discuss na natin. So, ang step 1 natin is identify the contract with customer. So, dapat yung pagbibigay ng consideration ni customer kay vendor is probable. Okay? So, dapat probable. So, number 2 naman is identify the performance obligations in the contract. So, yung performance obligation, ito yung terminology under the accounting standard na ginagamit to define yung ano ba yung ipoprovide na serbisyo ni vendor kay customer. Okay? So, dalawa yan. Meron tayong tinatawag na single performance obligation. Lagay ko ng single PO. And then, meron ding tinatawag na separate performance obligation or separate PO. So for example, dalawa yung performance obligation. So para masabi natin na ang performance obligation is a separate performance obligation, dapat meron tayong tinatawag na element of distinction. So distinct ang isang performance obligation kapag si customer kaya niyang mag-benefit on its own or together with other performance obligation. So, lagay natin benefit on its own or together with other performance obligation. O kaya, or hindi kaya o kaya. And dapat separately identifiable yung performance obligation. So, for example, magtatayo ako ng review center. Tapos, magpo-provide ako ng lecture sa AFAR. So, ang sisingilin ko sa bawat enrollee, kunyari lang to ha, halimbawa 20,000 para dun sa lectures. Tapos, sa first day ng lecture natin, magbibigay ako ng textbook na ako yung author, kunyari. Let's say, dating 2,000 pesos, pero dahil nag-avail ka ng lecture ko, ibibenta ko na lang sa yung textbook for 1,500 pesos. So, ganyan ko ima-market sa'yo yung service. Okay, so, yung textbook, kaya mo mag-benefit on its own. Na, for example, wala yung lecture, textbook ko lang. kaya mo pa rin namang aralin yung textbook ko kahit wala yung lecture. So separately identifiable din naman siya. So therefore, we can consider the textbook as a separate performance obligation. So sa dalawang yan, itong triangle, isipin nyo yan yung textbook. So separately identifiable siya. Pag single performance obligation, for example naman, nagpo-provide ako ng massage services. So sulat ko rito, massage. Tapos, sa massage, yung isang company, kapag ima-massage ka, meron silang oil na ina-apply dun sa pagmasahe sa'yo. Halimbawa, yung ulo mo yung mamasahihin. So, meron silang special oil na ginagamit. Yung massage oil na yan, hindi naman yan binibenta ng kumpanya separately. Na pag gusto lang bumili ng customer on a separate day, uy, pabili nga ng massage oil. Kasi, ginagamit yan ng kumpanya sa pag-provide or pag-render nila ng massage services. So, therefore, yung massage, which is ito, and yung massage oil, which is ito, they are only considered as a single performance obligation. Isang bilog lang sila kasi isang performance obligation lang sila. Yan. So, paano ba nalalaman kung ang isang performance obligation is separately identifiable? So, separately identifiable siya kung, for example, magcha-charge ako ng different amounts sa textbook kung ibebenta ko siya separately na hindi kasama yung lecture. For example, yung textbook ko, ang benta ko talaga dyan is 2,000 pesos. Pero dahil i-avail mo yung lectures ko, makakapag-avail ka ng textbook ko na 1,500 ko na lang ibebenta. Pero package yan. Pag binili mo sa akin yung lecture, kasama mong matatanggap yung textbook. Pero in this case, 1,500 na lang. So, ibig sabihin, dahil iba yung price niya, pag bibilhin mo sa akin yung textbook separately, it is considered as a separate performance obligation. So, ano pa ba yung indicators para malaman kung separate PO or hindi? Hindi siya separate PO kung halimbawa, for example, yung textbook, mabibili mo lang din sa akin ng 1,500. Kung bibilhin mo sa akin separately, 1,500 ko pa din binibenta. So, isa yun sa mga indicator. Okay? Next, etong massage oil naman, kanina dun sa illustration natin. Yung massage oil, hindi binibenta ng company separately, na hindi kasama yung massage. So, ibig sabihin, yung massage oil, highly dependent siya dun sa service, which is massage. Kapag highly dependent, hindi siya distinct. So, single performance obligation lang siya. Okay? So, kung highly dependent yung massage oil or yung product dun sa isa pang service, and itong oil na to or yung product or a specific product, hindi mo magagamit without the other main service or the main performance obligation, single performance obligation lang siya. Okay? So, yun lang yung mga indicators, but really, it really requires professional judgment para malaman mo kung isang performance obligation is a single performance obligation or a separate performance obligation. There are indicators that could help you in determining whether a PO is a single or separate. Okay? So that's for the second step. Number 3, determine the transaction price. Yan. So, kanina, dun sa example ko na magpo-provide ako ng lectures na may kasamang textbook, ang transaction price natin dyan is 21,500. Kasi 20,000 plus 1,500 is 21,500. So, yung 21,500, yan yung ating transaction price. There are other ways of determining the transaction price. Like for example, kung nag-estimate lang tayo ng transaction price, pwede tayong gumamit ng expected value method. Yung expected value method is yung possible amount times percent of probability. Meron din tayong tinatawag na most likely amount. Most likely amount. So, pipiliin lang natin yung amount with highest possibility. Select amount with highest possibility. Okay, so number 4, ngayong alam na natin transaction price, i-allocate na natin siya to our performance obligation. So number 4, allocate the transaction price to the separate PO. Okay, so ang magiging basis natin dito is yung relative fair value. Lagay ko dito, basis, relative fair value. So halimbawa, 'di ba? Halimbawa itong lecture tsaka textbook. Yung lecture is 20,000, yung textbook is 1.5 sa contract natin. So 21,500 yung talagang price or transaction price natin. Ngayon, ang standalone selling price or relative fair value, yung textbook, pag binili mo sa akin separately, nagkakalaga ng 2,000 pesos. Yung lecture, pag binili mo sa akin separately, sige, gawin nating 21,000. Kasi nga, binibenta ko yung package, di ba? Yan. So, ang relative fair value is 23,000. Kaya, bilhin mo na lang sa akin yung lecture kasama ng textbook para mas ma-avail mo sa akin yung lecture na mas mura by 1K and yung textbook ma-avail mo sa akin na mas mura by 500 pesos. Okay, so ngayon yung 21,500 i-allocate na natin. So, lalagay ko dito 21,500. 21,500 times 2,000 over 23,000. So, let's compute. 21,500 times 2,000 over 23,000. 1,870. So, let's round off. 1,870. Yung residual, mapupunta sa lecture. 19,630. So, na-allocate na natin yung transaction price. So, number 5 is recognized revenue when each performance obligation is satisfied. So, yung performance obligation, pwede siyang masatisfy point in time and over time. Yung lecture, masasatisfy siya over time. Kasi for example, i-render ko sa inyo yung lecture in 5 months. So, since 5 months, i-render natin yan, over time yon. Pero yung textbook, ibibigay ko sa inyo on the first day of our lecture. So, sa first month, magre-recognize na tayo ng point in time na revenue from the textbook, which is worth 1,870 pesos. So, halimbawa, itong 19,630, kung 5 months yan, ibig sabihin, 19,630 divided by 5, 3,926. So, 3,926 tayo magre-recognize monthly ng revenue from lecture services. So, now let's try answering some problem. So on August 1, 2027, Sun Incorporated, a telecommunications operator, entered the contract with JL. So, JL subscribes to Sun's Telecom monthly plan for 24 months and in return, JL receives a free Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra handset from Sun Incorporated. So, ang babayaran daw natin na monthly fee is 3,999 and a down payment of 30,000 pesos upon signing of a contract. So, JL will receive the handset after the contract signing and Sun Incorporated normally sells monthly plan for 99 per month, 999 per month without the handset. The market value of the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra is 92,990. So, ang unang tinanong sa atin, how much should Sun Incorporated recognize as monthly revenue under IFRS 15? And number 2, how much is the revenue for the year under IFRS 15. So, again, it's a sa step 1 ng IFRS 15, it's a identify the contract. So, ito is subscription contract. Ang step 2 naman natin is, sabi, identify the performance obligation in the contract. So, ang performance obligation natin dito sa contract is dalawa. Una is yung handset, which is yung S24 Ultra, and pangalawa is yung network service. So, yung handset natin would be recognized at a point in time, PT, and network service is over time kasi 24 months yung subscription natin. So, step 3 naman is the transaction price. So, ang monthly fee na babayaran natin is 3,999 times 24 months equals, let's compute, 3,999 times 24. That's 95976. So, 95976. Magkakaroon pa tayo ng down payment na 29,999. So, let's compute. 95976 plus 29,999. 125,975. So, 125,975. So, ang fourth step natin is allocate the transaction price to the separate PO. So again, our transaction price is 125,975. Then allocate na natin. So sa network service and sa handset. Bale, sabi rito kasi, the Sun Incorporated normally sells monthly plan for $99,999 per month without the handset. So since 24 months yung subscription natin, let's compute 999 times 24, 23,976 ang kanyang standalone selling price or fair market or relative fair value. Yung handset, 92,990 siya binebenta sa market. So, let's add 23,976 plus 92,990. That's 116,966. So, 116,966. And then, to allocate yung transaction price, ang i-allocate natin is 125,976. So, 125,976 times 23,976 over 116,966. So, allocate natin yung transaction price sa network service. 125,976 times 23,976 over 116,966. 25,823. 25,823. Yung residual amount, ibigay natin sa handset. So, 125,976 minus 25,823, 100,153. So, 100,153. So, yan na yung transaction price. Since yung network service, nakasubscribe tayo dyan for 24 months, ang monthly natin dyan is 1,076. So, 1,076. Kaya, dun sa tanong na how much should Sun Incorporated recognize as monthly revenue under IFRS 15, 1,076. Monthly revenue. Dun sa part na recognize over time. Kasi wala tayong magiging monthly revenue sa handset in which yung revenue natin from that is recognized point in time. And number 2, how much is the revenue for the year, which is 2027 under IFRS 15. Nag-start yung ating subscription noong August 1, 2027. So, August, September, October, November, December, 5 months yon. Kaya, yung monthly natin na 1,076, di ba, revenue for 2027. 1,076 times 5 months, let's compute. 1,076 times 5 months, 5,380. So, 5,380. And then, ipa-plus natin yung handset natin kasi recognize siya point in time. So, recognize na kaagad natin 100,153. So, let's compute. 5,380 plus 1,153. 105,533. So, our answer for number 2, how much is the revenue for the year under IFRS 15 is 105,533. Yung 100,153 galing dun sa revenue na recognize natin from the handset, which is the S24 Ultra, and yung 5,380 is from the subscription sa network service. And that concludes our overview for IFRS 15. Goodbye for now, future CPA.